Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about noise barriers, QuietMod Industrial Modular Panel Systems. I put Automotive on here because I have a couple of slides in the deck pertaining to some applications we have in Automotive, but we'll also be talking about some other applications that we've seen over the years where our system has worked very well. A little bit about me, your speaker today. I've been with Noise Barriers for about a year now. I am the Midwest Sales Manager. My territory covers from the Dakotas down to Missouri and then over to Wisconsin. I've been in sales and engineering for 30 years. I have a degree in aerospace engineering. I started early on designing the power systems, fuel cells for the space shuttle, and eventually migrated over to automotive doing NVH, particularly in exhaust systems, and then into active noise cancellation software in sales, and then now into noise barriers. I do want to mention in the middle of the presentation, I would like to send out a poll question, very simple. If you could answer that, I'd appreciate it. Okay, let's get started with the agenda. We're going to talk briefly about the product itself, the construction, how does it assemble, the applications, some examples of where it's used, and then last but not least, a couple of case studies. So the mod panel, the Noise Barriers mod panel, what is it? Well, mod panel is short for modular panel. Panels are easily assembled, disassembled to construct walls and ceilings. So these panels are shipped to your site, to the job site, disassembled. We do have another product line, pre-assembled buildings, which do come pre-assembled as indicated by the name. In this slide, you can see that this structure, this acoustic enclosure, is made up of a series of these mod panels. And what the mod panel is, I've taken a cross section here, is made up of 16 gauge solid steel on the outside with a 4-inch to 10-inch thick fiberglass insulation that gives you the attenuation, followed by an 16 gauge perforated steel, which allows the acoustic material in between to absorb the noise. Now these panels are very flexible. We can make them in multiple widths and lengths up to 144 inches or 12 feet. The designation HP42 panel designates a hard outer surface. A P is for perforated inside. We can do hard, or H/H. The 42 is the STC rating. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. So the performance, anywhere from, I said, a 2-inch thick panel up to 10-inch. 10-inch will give you a 59 STC. 2-inch gives you a 38. So flexibility, and depending on what your noise you're trying to suppress, whether it be a generator or a dyno test cell in automotive, or it could be just a laboratory that you're using for measurements. So how is it assembled? This is actually a instruction sheet that I took out that comes with every enclosure. And you can see here, it's basically using a series of steel beams, our mod panels themselves, and self-drilling screws. So this detail is given, like I said, in every instruction sheet. It will give you roof-to-wall connections, vertical headers, roof-to-frame, support walls, as well as accommodating if there's any door installations of any type. We'll see in later slides as well. We will give you the exact detail on how it's assembled. As far as assembly goes, we do provide assembly crews with years of experience, or we can provide supervisors if you have your own construction crews to install the enclosures. The mod panel itself assembly, this is an exploded view of a smaller audiometric room, which utilizes the panels themselves. I will click on this, it'll slowly rotate. You can see there is a floor channel that secures to the flat floor, whether it be a concrete floor, the panels themselves, and the series of steel support beams that the panels fit and integrate into, as well as a roof apron and provisions for plenum or HVAC if necessary. Some of the industrial other applications, as I mentioned before, are, in this case here, in this first caption, I wanted to illustrate that we do structural analysis on the rooftop to accommodate any type of blower or plenum requirement that you might have. In this second caption, these are bifolding doors. We can accommodate any type of industrial door or size, pretty much. And in here, you can see an assembly room in an automotive manufacturing plant with standard double leaf doors, dyno test cell with a large industrial door, and then a measuring room, if you will, with not any heavy equipment, but generally just a quiet space if you're doing some very delicate measurements. I would like to launch that poll, give it a shot here. Take a few minutes if you could give me your input, and then we can continue on with the last 6 slides. Give you a few seconds here. Okay, I'll go ahead and close that. Thank you for your time on that. Move on to the next slide. So let's talk a little bit more about how these modular panels can be used. So run through a few of these bullet points. We've seen applications where they've been used as barrier walls. If you've been to Midway Airport in Chicago, if you're in the Chicagoland area, and if you've flown in there, the barrier wall that surrounds the south part of the landing and runway area is all noise barrier walls. They can also be used as 2- or 3-sided enclosures. 4-sided enclosure, all designs are configurable and available with or without roof. And the flexibility of these panels and the ease of disassembly and assembly really makes them endless as far as reconfigurability. Isolated floors are available. Silent ventilation systems, as I pointed out before, we can design custom plenums for the rooftops and also the structural support that you might need. And then obviously the enclosures, since they can be disassembled, can be relocated or reconfigured at a later date. And then running through this, we do use A60 paint-ready galvanized steel, and G90 spangled galvanized construction is available as well. And then pretty much painting to any type of RAL color requirement that you might have. Again, some applications that we've seen over the years: machinery enclosures, test cells, printing plant quiet rooms, quality control test areas, thermal spray rooms, coordinate measuring machine rooms, which is what you see in the picture there, as well as factory offices and quiet rooms and HVAC plenums. The first case study I'd like to go over, this is a current project that we have for a client in an automotive manufacturing facility. This is for enclosing a stamping equipment, which, as you can tell, as you can imagine, is very noisy. We go through a submittal drawing process with the client. This is an isometric of the overall enclosure itself. It is 24 by 32 by 24, so quite large. And you can see there's a number of different type of doors that this will be on the structure. These are electrically operated roll-up doors. These are industrial double swing, double leaf, industrial doors. And then you have your regular 3x7 doors on the side and second floor. In the middle here, these are the actual assembly drawings. On the bottom is the floor layout, looking from above on how the I-beams are secured to the concrete, and then the I-beam structure itself being shown here as an isometric drawing before the mod panels are placed into their locations as shown by this front view. These are the actual modular panel sizes, and in the previous slides, the instruction sheets on how they are to be assembled. And generally speaking, this will be assembled in about 3 weeks with about a crew of 4 to 6 people, just to give you an idea. The second case study is one for a diesel generator acoustical enclosure. This was done for the Board of Trade out in Winfield, Illinois, which is a suburb west of Chicago, about 30 miles. And it was critical that when the generators were on, that they did not disturb the neighboring suburban area. So the scope of the work is we did the design, the permitting, we designed plenum for the HVAC system, as well as obviously the fabrication in our plant in North Aurora, and we arranged with our own installers for the installation in Winfield. The enclosure itself is 132 foot long, 30 feet wide, and 15 feet high. By far one of the largest acoustical enclosures that we've done. So that kind of gives you a couple of ideas how it, some of the applications that we do. Obviously, we do many other types of applications that weren't mentioned in this PowerPoint. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at this email or my phone number. Shoot me a text or give me a call, and we can certainly work with you on your particular application. I thank you for your time, and have a nice day.